Welcome to Lost Without Japan, a travel podcast about the life-changing experiences of exploring Japan and those moments we would be lost without. For your listening pleasure, allow me to introduce your very own Kanko Guido, Michael.
Welcome to this week's episode of Lost Without Japan, a podcast based on Japan and your Lost Without moments. This is your director of travel for TKIC Studio Productions, coming to you with positive thoughts and excitement for your next journey to Japan and my own return, I hope this year. I'd like to thank you for giving me a bit of your time today, and I truly hope this podcast finds you in a good place or on the path to a better one, no matter how it may seem at this moment. My belief is that we could all use a beacon like this one in our lives to help guide us during these times, and my hope is that Japan, along with this show, will become that for you. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. If you're returning Lost Without listener, thank you again for your time and returning once more. As always, the advertising I include with my shows is done for free and is to help continue to promote the friends of the show that we've interviewed in the past. I want to take a moment before we get too far in today's episode and make an early request, as I really want to give as much of a chance as possible for listeners of the show to be a part of our 3-year celebration this upcoming summer. For that reason, I'm going to start requesting either an audio recording or a written story that I could include in the episode that can be about your favorite story from a Japan trip of your own, something that you're looking forward to the most, or just things you've enjoyed about the show. To make this as easy as possible, I'll be putting a link in the notes for today's show that will give you a Google Doc where you could type in your written response or even include an audio file as well. If you prefer, you can also email me that response and not use the Google form at all. Just send it to lostwithoutjapan@gmail.com. I truly look forward to celebrating this special event for you, and I can't wait to celebrate this special event with you. I also want to add on that for those of you that are taking the time out of your day to submit something for my show, in the Google form, if you give an address, happy to mail to you a sticker from the show. And anyone that, like I said, takes time out of their day and things to participate and be a part of the show, you'll also be entered in the raffle that I'm going to be doing for a Lego Japanese postcard. So, with all of that behind us, let's get on with today's episode. As our group departs today, please remember to double check you have all your luggage, your passport, and your phone with you before the group departs. You have made it. Today's the day you continue your journey throughout Japan. So go ahead, take a few deep breaths, and come along with your tour group as we make sure that your journey today is as wonderful as possible, whether it's that first trip or return to this awe-inspiring country. As always, when you end up looking to make reservations for lodging, make sure that you book something that is fully refundable, and know that the dates that are necessary to get your money back if there are time frames constraints placed upon them. Remember, you can always reach out to the show at Lost Without Japan on Instagram or by our show's email if I can answer any questions or be of assistance during our journey together when you're out and about and traveling on your own. As always, today's timestamp in our show notes to bring you directly to our talk on the islands of Shikkoku in the Kagawa prefecture can be found in the notes for today's episode. In that same spot, you'll also find that link that we discussed earlier for the Google Doc for resources and information on Japan and links to all of our past episodes, again, coming up on 3 years of them. Before we get going into our day trip, I wanted to give a quick shout out for Japan Tour Adventure. Designs off the beaten tracks, walking, guided experiences in the Kansai region, including Osaka, Kyoto, and Nara. They offer a more authentic vibe, where you wouldn't dare to go on your own, with nature, local places, food, drink, and a priority on sustainability, with exclusive and unique experiences that are for solo travelers, groups, families, and friends. They are waiting for you. For more info about those experiences, visit their website at japantouradventure.com. Normally, this is where we'd go into the history of a city. And, with today's episode, however, we've already covered that. And it's kind of a continuation of Takamatsu and a part of a larger area that we're going to be talking about with these episodes coming up. So instead of that, I'm going to end up adding on a little bit to what we have in a different way. Since we're already in that area, we don't need to worry too much about transportation. So we're going to forego that normal how to get here section of our talk. For those of you joining us out of order of our episodes, just go back to season 3, episode 12, which is just a couple episodes ago, and you can find all the information needed to meet our group here. For those of you looking to leave with our group from Takamatsu to take advantage of all they have to offer in the area today, we're going to be meeting at that 24-hour chain Sukiyaka, and which is near my recommendations for lodging. And those that want to be near some of the ferries will be utilizing before catching our ferry to begin our day. I'll be touching base when possible on lodging for each of these islands, and we'll look to make some day trip locations out of each one, which is a very real possibility. As a result, we'll not be having an honorable mention section for today's episode. Instead, we're just going to be focusing on 2 different islands for your listening pleasure. Now, we'll not be able to cover every island that's out here in this area in today's episode, but I've picked 2 that I think offer some unique activities and are central to where we are at this moment and make for a pretty easy transition to get there. Now, let's start with our first recommendation for lodging. If you're looking to base yourself out of Takamatsu with the JR Hotel Clement Takamatsu, it's a great location because it's near the ferries, and that's what we're going to be utilizing for our adventure today. The 4-star hotel has its own site available in English, Chinese, and of course, Japanese. When looking to book directly through the site, I couldn't really pull up anything when trying to use the calendar, but what I was able to pull up, on the other hand, is room availability when I ended up kind of pulling up plans, not the dates, but just plans and things that are available. And then I was beginning to pull up some things. I think for this instance, unless you have the Japanese to do the phone call and make it, you're probably going to end up having to count on a booking travel website. Reviews mention there's some limited communication in English, and that's a nice plus anytime you're going. This hotel is older, but is well maintained. Their great location allows you to see it from outside of JR Takamatsu Station, which is just a 5-minute walk to the Shodoshima Ferry. The second floor of this hotel is connected to the Takamatsu port ticket booth as well, and that ends up being one of your options for a ferry depending on where you're going. If you do arrive before it's time for check-in, you can store your luggage with the hotel and go exploring until it's time for you to check on later in the day. That being said, there won't be an option when you check out for them to, hold on to that luggage for you as you're killing time. So you're going to need to take care of that yourself. If you take a shuttle from the airport from this location, it's going to be the last stop for that shuttle, and which is a plus. You don't have to necessarily worry, have I gotten there or not, which could be a worry or concern. But when you're getting on to it, you're going to have quite a bit of time to kind of write it and probably a lot of crowding. But the nice part is being the first stop on the return, you're going to have plenty of options to find a spot for sure to sit and not have to worry about standing that whole time. Now, one thing I do want to note is that around the hotel, except for some convenience stores and izakayas, really not too much. But there is a 10-minute walk to the shopping areas that could greatly increase your dining options. I would probably recommend taking advantage of what that hotel has to offer you. And the breakfast buffet international dining options seem to be limited, though, as well. Seem to be a lot of buffets. A lot of good reviews for them, but a lot of buffets. There are not so many food options around the hotel, like I said. Really heading off to that shopping area is going to be what I'd recommend for you. There is, though, a dessert bakery on the first floor of this hotel, mentioned a number of times. And they even offer a 10% discount to guests staying at the hotel. Check-in for this location is 3 p.m. with checkout at 11 a.m. And parking, if you do need to take advantage of it, is 700 yen a day. If you do need to cancel, it needs to be done a full 24 hours in advance of your stay if you want a full refund. And please, everybody, take notice of time differences. If you cancel the day before, where it's less than that 24 hours, you're going to lose 20% of your funds, which go all the way up to 80% if you cancel on that same day. So again, you need to cancel like 2 days, in advance. Less than that, 20%, less than the day, 80%. My friends, that is a lot of your money going to waste. One more of those things that I'd like to mention to you is that those of you with pets, unless they are guide animals, you will not be able to bring your pets with you. Breakfast is served from 6:30 a.m. to 10, with orders being stopped 30 minutes before the breakfast closing time of, again, 10. The hotel is a smoke-free area with the exception of some limited rooms on the third floor that are smoking. Pricing looks to be around $100 US for a base level room for one adult through travel sites. When I searched through, a couple of months or so away, some things that were closer, there were some variation in prices. There are some deluxe rooms which offer a slightly larger size at each level and may include the best views of the water, but I'm not positive of that. One thing you can count on, though, by booking these rooms is you'll have a slightly larger room. Another option for your group is you can also book corner rooms or a suite as well. One last thing of note on location is that there look to be 5 rental bicycles available as well, but I'm not sure how much that costs, paperwork that needs to be filled out, or what your Japanese level needs to be able to do to take advantage of them. Our meeting point for today is the chain restaurant Sukiya, and is one of my go-to easy starts to the day that's not McDonald's, Starbucks, or other chains in the area. It may not be adventurous, but what it does have is 24 hours service to allow you to start your day at whatever time you need. It has English menus. It has a touchscreen system, which means you don't have to interact with anyone else. And even quick and inexpensive food that can lead to a stress-free start to your day or end of one. So, depending on what time you're starting your day or when your ferry leaves or when you make it back, you can count on at least time doing so. When you sit down, you'll automatically get water, giving you time to place your order via the touchpad if you choose. You can even place an order outside of this location as well if you're looking to take advantage of some to-go services. Nothing you get here will be luxurious, but they do have a diverse menu that is sure to provide you with some variety. I will not go into much more depth about this location as it's something we've discussed in previous episodes, but I have included it in the show's Google Maps, and you can check it out, all the food pictures and everything that's there yourself. If you can rent a car, you'll really have these areas open up to you after using the ferries itself to get to this next island. But I will point out, besides really needing an international license and renting cars, really only one of the islands is one that I would spend the money on for that transportation. And what I'm going to suggest, instead of using a car itself, is actually to rent an RV within Kagawa during your stay. Again, international license, passport, credit card that can be used internationally. But what's going to happen is, my friends, this service is available both in Chinese and English, in addition to Japanese. And it's going to allow you to take advantage of some campsites and beaches on our first island that I'm going to be talking about for a longer period of time than you could otherwise. And to do this, we're going to be taking advantage of Heisei car rentals. It's a service that I'll be discussing today. Their website will be in the show notes. This rental agency offers a lot of things that actually put me at ease about renting a car and driving in Japan. Now, I'll admit, one of my fears about driving in Japan is that if something were to go wrong while I'm driving my car and I wouldn't be able to communicate with anybody else to get what I need. And I'll admit, it adds some stress. But included with the price of your rental are a variety of things that really could put you and myself at ease. Some of these include tire replacements, help with a flat, jump start of a battery, help if your key is locked in the vehicle, towing up to $100,000 per rental if the car breaks down. You are, of course, responsible if you have an accident and, you make some poor life decisions and strand a vehicle. But guess what? For just 2,750 yen, in addition to what the fees are for taking this RV, about $20, guess what? You have $0 due as a deductible in case of an accident. Property damage, $0 deductible. Damage to another vehicle, $0 deductible. Now, you can rent these small camping vehicles for 6, 12, or 24 hours at a time. Peak season, they are 15,400 yen per day or 13,200 yen off season, which is either around like $115 US to $95 a day without that additional insurance. Please, my friends, just add the insurance. You're still less than a lot of hotels or places that you'd stay. Now, these vehicles come with more than just the insurance. They have a car navigation system that will be set to English for free. They have even the chance to rent child seats. And even one of the greatest add-ons I've ever seen is what, for those of you that live stateside, an iPass, or a card that can be used to get you through the toll roads so you don't have to worry about money. I don't have to worry about cash and trying to hand it over as I'm trying to figure out where I'm going and driving in the correct manner. What happens is once you return your RV or car, they will read the card that's used for the toll roads, and you'll just pay for what balance you have owed at that point in time. Now, being that a lot of these islands are limited for lodging and rental properties and campgrounds can be an amazing option and provide an unforgettable experience. You're not going to find these super duper hotels with, resort type things that are all inclusive. That's not what you're going to find here, but you can, again, have an amazing time. Please check out the site for the RVs and just everything that I talk about today to get a better idea of what is going on. The RVs do have what I would feel would fit one adult for sure, 2 adults fairly comfortably. But you could make it work. They have a fold-out bed and a table to use when the bed is not in use. There's no toilet. There's no shower. You're going to have to use a campground to take advantage of them. One friendly reminder, my friends, is don't forget your toilet paper for today's adventure. That, and I would say some sunblock. Now that we are full of all this information so far, we're going to make our way to our first island and discuss activities that you can enjoy, plus our lodging. One thing of note is that Google Maps does show you can walk to our next spot to access the ferries to get to where you have, but I really would not recommend this. Like, one of the routes had you walking on a toll road, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be illegal or get you pulled over or worse, hurt horribly. So just take advantage of a taxi. Have someone in the hotel staff help you out getting it. It's a super short ride. It will cost you nothing, but it'll eliminate that chance of you getting a horrible end to your adventure. What's going to end up happening is we are going to begin on the island of Megijima, which is the north of Takamatsu. It's just a short ferry service of 20 minutes to get out to that first stop. One word of warning, though, with any ferry service is if it's too wavy, the weather is too poor, they will not run. So having our previous episode of backup things to do in the area if you can't make it to where we're talking about today, keep that in your back pocket, my friends, just in case that weather turns south. We'll be getting off at the port of Megijima, where we have a very short 1-minute walk to our first recommendation for today, a very unique seagull art parking lot exhibit. You have to see it to experience it, my friends. It is also near one of our recommendations for lodging as well. As soon as you step up at Megijima, you'll immediately be welcomed by this art that looks like seagulls. These seagulls turn in the wind and even sound a little like the bird themselves when they turn. I don't know if this is from the rusty fittings or just how they were made. I don't know, but it's definitely unique and, for me, an interesting experience. For lodging, I'm going to speak to the campground options first and then briefly on one of the few options that are available for lodging that isn't camping. If you're able to use the RV service or you live in Japan and can bring your own tent, this is truly the most appealing option, barring the being there at 120 degrees, during summer. But this camping option is available for so little money, and what you get is so huge. Megijima Camping Ground is our first target for the day and is simply an amazing find. If you're looking for an amazing view and each adult only running you 200 yen, yes, 200 yen, not $200, 200 yen, 100 yen for a child, less than $2 US. That's like $1.40. You will have access to a bathroom, flush toilets, a shower, and be able to use that RV that you're looking to. One thing, though, that the RV space is limited, as there's only 6 to 8 spots there, so make sure to get there early. Leave that vehicle and go out exploring on your own. They do have a grill for communal use. Toilet paper, like I said, sunblock, bag to bring your trash back. This is going to be a theme. You will need to bring back whatever trash that you do have from camping. You can't leave it there. Please don't do so. If that happens, my friends, what's going to happen is it's super expensive for anyone there to get rid of your trash. And what could end up happening is these 200 yen or less camping grounds end up getting closed. I mean, they're really not making a lot off of anything that's here. It's just more of a service. You know what I mean? Like, it's there for you. I bookmarked this on Google Maps for your use. There's even a nearby pine tree forest if you need for some shade. One word of advice, though, is there is a stone wall that is near this location that helps divide the beach, but I would steer clear of it because from different reviews and things that are mentioned is that the wall itself looks like it's being eroded from underneath for the water and things, so that you can even get stuck in the sand, your feet, if you get too close. I don't want you getting hurt. I don't want anything falling on you. So stay to the beach, stay away from the walls. One cool thing about being at this beach is the ferries come quite close, so you could wave, and who knows, as you do so, end up making a new friend. There are absolutely no convenience stores on this island, nor the next, so it's important that whatever you need, you bring with you on this visit. What are we going to need for camping? Do the same. That means Tylenol, that means ibuprofen, that means water, that means Imodium, that means Band-Aids. Just come prepared, my friends. And one neat thing about this is that when you're using this, campsite, you have some amazing scenery. If you're unable, though, to take advantage of this beach camping site, north end of the island has Megijima Matsubara Campsite that I'll include in the notes as well, that you'll still have access to a beach location. It is going to be some different scenery, though. A lot more forest. Like I said beach. You don't have access to a beach. You're going to have water, but the beach that you're thinking that you're going to go and lay out on and do that is not going to be that north location. That's going to be the first one that we've talked about. So just different things. For some of you, you may be, hey, I'd rather be by the trees than go north, my friend. I want the beach and be, in a location that's like, what would this be otherwise? 400, 500, 200 at least a night to be out on the ocean? I mean, such a deal. Less than $2. I can't get past this. There's one guest house for lodging that I'd recommend, and that is the Megijima Guest House and Cafe Megino. There are a few other places, but this one has a ton of positives to it. Checkouts before 10 a.m. with check-in between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. There are a lot of positives, like I said, but one drawback is this location is there's only 3 rooms to it. So if it sounds appealing to you, my friends, book as far out as possible as you can. You can end up changing their site to English, and I kind of looked through it and saw that there was a lot that was not available. So I would say, look, through the booking sites and things again to try to get that, or reach out by email and see what comes up from there. Besides the amazing views, this location is mentioned as having drinks and small pizza, other food choices as well. The chef for this location really takes advantage of local goods to make your meal and what's being served. One truly unique option that appears to pop up from time to time is the option of German bread as well. Staff mentioned that they speak Japanese, German, and English. To what level? The German going to be pretty good. Japanese, pretty good. English, probably enough to get through for both of you, but I wouldn't expect a fluent conversation. The rooms look very basic, but they do sport the all-important AC or heater. Now, if you choose to stay at this location, you can also relax on the roof of this guest house as well, truly listening to waves at the end of a day as you're looking out at the beach. Man, what an amazing way to spend any night of yours in Japan. When I looked next summer, like $90 or 12,500 yen per night. I'll be reaching out to this lodging in hopes for a future interview, as I got with Piranha Divers Okinawa, and hope that we can get a little more information about this and find out that all of us English-speaking people can reach out directly and maybe make some lodging further out. Now that that's out of the way, what else can we do besides the beaches? Well, one thing you can do is to rent a bicycle and cycle the island. Fortunately, this island has buses to our next location as well that will coincide with the arrival time of the ferries and is just 600 yen per person. Now, besides exploring the island of this small cave that is there for just 600 yen per person is an option. You also in this island have within this cave a statue or a set of statues. It's small. It's going to be a small, cave, but it will provide you some nice relief, some natural air conditioning to cool off on hotter days. One other plus is there's some great views to take in from that spot as well. It's about 400 to 600 yen per person to explore this cave. I'm not sure it's going to be worth it to everyone that chooses to do just the cave. And I probably wouldn't even recommend it if it was just the cave. But there are quite a few observation decks. There's hiking. There's, just all of these different cool things that are around the area that you can do. Shrines, temples, another art exhibit that end up making the time that you would spend exploring that area worth it to me. And something to do as you're waiting for that return ferry. I'm going to add this into our Google Maps as well. And we're going to hold on to all that information as we head off to our next island, Ogajima, as we continue our exploration. If you're coming from Megijima, it's just an additional 20-minute ferry ride. Or if you're coming from Takamatsu, you have two 20-minute stops with whatever delay is there for unloading, for that first stop. If you've heard of Cat Island of Aoshima that you'll see on YouTube for a lot of people, but want to avoid the tourist trap location and, well, not have the whole island cover, overrun by cats, this next spot could be for you. The island of Ogajima is also pretty unique camping experiences to offer you as well. You have that beach option. One plus about the campsite that I'm going to talk about, though, to you as well, is that the one that is north has the option for you to rent a tent for just 2,000 yen. But one word of advice, if I was looking to take advantage of the tent, I would buy on the mainland some sand, tent spikes to use, sand pegs to help secure your tent. Because this area is near a lighthouse, which is one of two lighthouses that are kind of famous within Japan, as they're not painted, they're covered in stone. I'll talk about that more in a moment. But it can get very windy, especially off season. So like November time, things like that. I just buy those pegs, keep them completely sealed, keep them in their box, however it is that you get them from the camping store. Hold on to your receipt. If you don't use them, bring them back, return them. If you do end up using them, you're going to be so thankful that you had them, especially if it is a little windy. You will have access to a shower, a toilet, and an area to set up a campfire and barbecue. But one thing to note is that in this location, as I talked about earlier, and many camping sites within Japan, you need to bring your trash bag out with you when you leave. The campsite itself does not have a cost outside of that tent rental. You could stay there for free if you had all the necessary supplies. You could even put in a request through their website to take advantage of this campsite, but here's the thing. It's just a request. It's not guaranteed. Basically, what they use that request system for is like, hey, there's 13 people that are saying they want to come, so I can have an idea of who might be there. How many people might be there? Even if there's more people looking to take advantage of it than there are spaces available. So again, if you do look to use this, head early, get your tent, get your spot staked out, and then go about enjoying the rest of your day. If you're the type of person that would rather not have the stress, though, of putting up a tent, I don't want to cook, Mike. I don't want to worry about getting my luggage from the port to this location. Guess what? This campsite actually has an add-on service for 24,750 yen, which is around $175 US. To have this service, you'll need to fill out the form online to take advantage of this. Your meals are going to include local ingredients that may or may not be appropriate for everyone. Good news is you could actually bring in your own things to cook as well. The meal that you would end up getting if you choose to just go squarely with them consists of bread, potentially wild boar meat, prepared fish, vegetables, tea, coffee, mineral water. They'll provide you with your silverware, your cutlery, your stove, your kettle, your charcoal, your bonfire stand, and besides bringing all of this food that will be prepared for you, they'll help bring your luggage. They'll even provide you with a cooler that has ice in it. They'll help you start a fire, and at the end, they'll even help you tidy up. I'll include this site in our show notes for your reference. Just make sure you use Google so you can translate the site from Japanese to English, as it does not have that option directly on the site. The lighthouse is one of two in Japan that are made from aji stone, which is an unpainted lighthouse and just kind of a unique experience. There's even a museum, if you speak Japanese, about the lighthouse that you could take advantage of as well. Although there is hiking and a beach on the island, I'm just going to bookmark them and focus on dining and coffee options instead, so that we don't, sound too alike, with these two islands and these day trips spots kind of so close to each other. There are some historical landmarks that I'm going to add that I'm not going to talk about. There's quite a bit added to this Google map for today, this saved location. So take a perusal, see what you see and what else you want to add on. Now, depending on the season you are visiting, different locations will be closed or open, which is common for locations that have like a travel season to them. So don't just look and think that everyone's going to be there. So some of the sites that I chose to pick for today were ones that seem to be more year round, but just think about that. And one other thing that I'd say is please, 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 and I'll think I'm going to say this again later, don't wait for the last ferry. Go at least one before that, if not two, if you're not going to be spending the night. You don't want to have to try to find some sort of lodging, and not have anything available for you or have to sleep outside. So one thing that caught my mind, though, is a coffee spot that translates as Sunset and Cat House. And I'm going to save this in our Google Maps. I put notes in the section that has the pictures so that you can see what it is, because it's completely in Japanese. This is a cat cafe. If you wanted something that was not that experience that you're going to get in Tokyo, which is like you're going into this small room, the cats are stuck there all day, very timed. This is them in their environment from a standpoint of you're at their home. They can come and go. They're able to explore, do what they want to do. They're not just stuck in the room with you. You also, beyond that, the amazing food that you can have some amazing views. One thing you can do that's nice is you can inquire through the site to see if they're open when you're visiting. So if you're coming and this is something that you want to do, you can say, hey, will you be open, March 13th or whatever it is. The menu is on a board outside the location, which you can scan with your phone. Or if you know basic hiragana and katakana, you can make out the kohi or coffee or tea and other items as well. Prices are very affordable, ranging from 200 to 500 yen, again, like less than $2, less than $5 for all these different courses. And the one thing, though, of course, is that what is being served will change with seasons. When it is warmer, you can get shaved ice for as little as 200 yen, which will go a long way to cool you down, but it's not going to be a huge heaping pile of this. If you speak Japanese, the owner will also give you other spots on the island you can explore as well. And if you want to find more cats, they'll give you those locations as well. Next up is Madoka, a Sai, Yokudo, and Teishoku restaurant. Saikoru are casual restaurants or cafeteria-style locations that serve a variety of inexpensive Japanese meals. Many of them are mom and pops. Hole in the walls, you might call them. Just restaurants where you could go and find locals eating there as well, and not just a bunch of tourists. One of the owners of this location is a fisherman, and this carries over into what's being served, as so many reviews mention that they had some of the freshest seafood they've ever had. One thing you can count on is what is being served will constantly change, but that also means that you can't count on if you really like the meal the night before. Doesn't mean it's going to be there the following day or even later in the day or next time you visit. The menu really ranges in pricing for 1,000 to 2,000 yen per person. They do seem to be open more than other locations and more of kind of a year-round thing. As mentioned earlier, Ogi Fishing Port is a location to head to too if you'd like the experience of a plethora of cats. One thing, though, that is prohibited, please do not feed the cats. No matter how cute they look at you or how much they beg, don't give in. I don't want you getting in trouble, okay? It's prohibited against the law. Don't do it, even if you see others doing so. Other than seeing the cats, though, and the walking art piece nearby, I'm really not going to recommend going to that port unless it's something that you're looking to do. What you can do, though, is stop by there if you're heading out to Oi Swimming Beach, saved in our show notes as well. If you want to experience, my friends, what it's like to have a private beach without having to pay for it, this is the spot for you. Even in summer, when you'd think it would be a popular spot, it doesn't seem to get much foot traffic. For you backpackers, this spot seems like an ideal location where you could camp and have access to a roofed off area that could give you some cover as well, a restroom. But one word of a warning, my friends, Heard nothing about flush toilets, so you're gonna need your own toilet paper and a squatty potty, squat pot, things. So if you aren't someone that thinks you could handle that, may not be the location for you. That being said, this spot is free. Yes, free. And they have an amazing view as well, right there on the beach. No shower. No parking though, also. So again, don't bring your RV to this island. If you're going to rent one, skip it for this day. It would not stop me though from visiting this island for a day and heading back at the end of the day, not spending the whole day. If you're looking just to kind of explore and go around, just again, please take note of that departure schedule for the ferries. And make sure the ferry you're getting on will actually get you back to mainland and not just the island that was previous in our talks. With that, my friends, I'm going to call it an end for today's talk and pick our adventure back up with our next regularly scheduled episode in 2 weeks. Plus, my friends, you hear it now, a very strong possibility of another bonus episode. That's going to be like 4 episodes in 4 weeks. Show record, no doubt about it. I'm going to do all I can to get that out in time, just extra fun. We'll still keep our every other week going, but I wanted to try to provide some extra for you, the listeners. Really appreciate all of what's going on the last few months. And I'm a firm believer if you have some negative things going on in your life or counterproductive things in your life that may be impacting you, like not being able to go to Japan this summer, I'm still going to try, my friends, but I've just had so many different things go through, so I may have to push that back towards end of the year. I figure when you're having all of that, why not put out some positivity? And one thing that I can do to positively impact your day is to add some additional listening pleasure for you. So our housekeeping for today, please give a follow, a like, a comment on your favorite streaming service. For updates on the show, feel free to give a follow on Instagram at Lost Without Japan. If you've enjoyed today's show, feel free to support us by joining the show's Patreon. Links will be in today's show notes. Thank you to our members that have already donated. You're helping save towards microphones that I'm looking to use to record various sounds to share with all of you from my next trip to Japan, and also some on-site interviews. Last but not least, Nihongo Jobs, powered by Kasha at Ikigai Connections. If your dream is to build a career around your Japanese, English language, and or cultural skills, check out ikigaiconnections.com for country-specific resources and inspiring senpai success stories. If you're specifically looking for a Japanese job in the US, search for one at nihongojobs.com. For our show, Song of the Day, to take us out, we're going to be going out with a classy instrumental note with the music of Asako Morikawa, who was born in Takamatsu, and their performance of Downland Simper Dolans from their YouTube channel. I'll include a link in the show notes. Looks like we're ready to call it a night before we begin our next adventure as we continue our discussion and exploration of Japan. So on behalf of Lost Without Japan and the entire crew, I'd like to thank you for joining us for this trip, and we're looking forward to seeing you on board again in 2 weeks for our next episode. To everyone out there, o genki day. Stay well, my friends.
君と初めて会ったのいつだっけ君を好きになったのいつだっけ今となってそんなんどうだっていい君といるだけで超ハッピー白い砂に青い海目の前に大はしゃぎ楽しすぎ続く空に真っ赤っか太陽君の体温もっとあったったかいよ水着姿が She's so cute Kiss me 歌方 Feel so good 二人の時間愛しくて君がいる1分1秒が惜しくて君以外はノーサンキュー君への気持ちはこのオーシャンビューハーネムーン気分でバーベキュー鼻歌ノリノリパーティーチューンさあフライデービーチカンカンデリー天気だけじゃ何も判断できんがなんだかんだいい感じ予想通り美女と美男子沈んでく夕日背に一発キス夜になれ笑ってる三日月見上げた空満開の花火散ってく彼方に まぐれな風無邪気な君のなびく髪の香りに誘われて僕はただ言葉にならない想いを一人胸に噛みしめて気がつけば恋をしていた君の前だといつも空回りかっこつかないそんな僕を見て大きな声が響く花火も笑ってる昨日までの天気は嘘みたい晴天空の下無性にハイ潮風香る海岸線に咲いた夢のときめき My love 今日だけは僕に身を預けてもっと知りたいよ君のすべて愛しのレイディ君と二人切り飛ばしていく My car to the beach高鳴る胸の鼓動しどろ戻ろうさ恋心少しは大人になったはずの男まるで初恋の頃君への気持ちありったけ言葉にはできなくて握った手このまま終わらない時を願って見上げた空の星を君ともしも気まぐれな風無邪気な君のなびく髪の香りに誘われて僕はただ言葉にならない想いを一人胸に噛みしめて気がつけば恋をしていた君の前だといつも空回りかっこつかないそんな僕を見て大きな声が響く花火も笑ってるプライベートビーチプライベートビーチプライベートビーチ二人手取り Oh my sweet baby baby mermaid sweet lady 繰り返す波音で祈り二人きりのプライベートビーチ Sunrise to sunset Sunset to sunrise with me 気まぐれな風無邪気な君のなびく髪の香りに誘われて僕はただ言葉になら